During the 1980s, Tandy was one of my favourite stores. I'd just got into electronics, I was young, I was a young teenager, and I wanted to know how things worked. Walked into Tandy and I was absolutely blown away with the stuff that was in there. One of the things that I absolutely fell in love with was the multi-tester. Now, my first multi-tester is one that I'm going to review right at the end of this video, so stay tuned and you'll see which one it is. All of the multimeters around the 80s, there were multimeters before this. These are the catalogue 22-2XX range. This one's 201, so this was the first one of the catalogue numbers. I'm not saying it's the first meter, but this one did come out in 1974. Along with 202, 203, 204 and 205. This one had quite a long reign. This one went right up until 1992. This one is the A revision. There was a B and there was a U, and then there was a facelift back in 1993 after these were discontinued, and it became 22221. So this is the meter we have in question. So you've got the books with these, and quite often you've got a little schematic with them. I'm not sure if this one came with a schematic. This was quite one of the lower end, one of the budget end of the series. So this doesn't have the schematic, but many of the manuals had the schematics. It came with cables. That's not how they were wrapped by factory, obviously. This has been used. And this is the meter itself. I'm not going to spend too long on each one, but I might open each one up and have a quick look. So we're just going to go straight in. Okay, before I do that, I'm just going to go through the functions. So there we are, we're switched off. So we've got AC volts, DC volts and ohms. Very basic, very, nothing really to write home about. It was quite a simple meter. But that was all you needed, this would do the job. So we're going to have a quick, we're just going to see, because I believe there's a battery in this, which I will need to take out, and I will take it out once I open it up. And so there's your common, so you have resistance. Okay, fairly fast needle. Some of the bigger meters tend to have a much slower needle. But anyway, that's that one. I'm going to have a quick look inside, see what drives it, see what protection it's got. Not a lot, because these were budget meters. Anyway, so let's get into it. Okay, so we've got a PCB here. We've got a couple of trimmers, 3 trim pots there, a few metal film resistors inside there. Yeah, it's just a bunch of metal film resistors and a capacitor there. I would imagine that is, so that's got an output. So maybe you can chain them and use one for volts and another one for amps. I have no idea why they would have an output. No idea. Anyway, so that's about the size of that one. It's very simple, mechanical switch, proper clunky switch. I'm going to take the battery out now because we don't want that corroding while it's in storage. Okay, so there we go. That's the first of the bunch. So that is Micronta 22201, and like I say, they come out in 1974. They were discontinued in 1992. Had a catalogue change in 93, and I don't know what happened after that, but that's that one. So so what we're going to do, we're going to move on to, I'm going to do them chronologically. I'm going to go through them, so it'll be 22202 next. And this one's quite interesting actually, the next one that I've got lined up. The next one I've got, 22202, is this one here. Now this is 22202B. So there was an A, a B and a U. I don't know what the U was, I don't know what the revisions were, what they did, or anything like that. So Okay, so we're going to get this one out and we're going to see how that one measures up for. Oh, we've got a Tandy headquarters, Wednesbury, West Midlands. So Corporation Branch UK, International, Victoria Road, New South Wales. Interesting. So custom manufactured for the Radio Shack, a division of the Tandy Corporation. And does this one have a schematic? Yes, it does. So there. So we've got a nice little. Sorry, just moving that lamp out of the way there. So we've got the schematic for this one, which is quite nice. And this one here is another one that's got the 2mm jacks on there. So you want your common in there, and we'll just measure ohms just so we can get the needle moving. So times 1k, and let's do the continuity. So the needle was quite responsive, I would say. Yeah, so that's that one. We're going to take a quick look inside, but I think it might be worth having a look because they also did an Archerkit version of this meter. So this one has 2 screws. So the 201 had 1 screw, the 202 has 2 screws. Does the 203 have 3 screws? We'll find out. So again, we've got the original Radio Shack battery. You don't see them very often, or we certainly won't from now onwards anyway, because it's not even going to focus. So they're discontinued the old Radio Shack Cell Extra Life. Okay, so that's that. Got a capacitor once again going to the output socket, and we've got 3 trim pots there. I would imagine I do not know actually what they were used for because I don't have a calibration thing, but I'm going to leave that to the side for now because this is something else I wanted to show you. This is the same meter made by Archerkit, and it is a kit. It's a kit version of that very meter. So you get all of the sockets, the switch. So in there you get the switch for the PCB. You get this. You even get a bit of solder in there as well. I would imagine that would be 6040. A load of metal film resistors to go inside, and a 1 ohm. Very interested. And there's the output capacitor. So we've got all of the stuff. This is still stapled down as it was originally. So this is interesting because these ones were actually blue. These ones had a blue back as opposed to the black. So I actually really like the blue ones because they were just different, and they had a sort of very scientific sort of look to them. So there it is. We have no. It's just been loosely screwed on. The ohms adjust dial has been screwed on there. It looks to be the same circuit, except for it's got solder on it. See if I can just zoom in just a little bit there. Right. Okay, so we're just going to see how that does look pretty much the same. We've got the ground plane coming around here, just the same on here. It pretty much looks like it is exactly the same board. 20031, 20031. It is the same PCB basically. So interesting. There you go. So that was the Archerkit version of the 22202 meter. So I'm just going to screw that back down, put it back in its case, and I might do a video assembling this one if anybody's interested. I'm happy to do an assembly video if you fancy watching that. Can do a few little solder tips for the newbies at the same time. You know, all your people just getting into it and stuff. Right, now, so there you go, that was the Archerkit, and this is the Micronta. So this one, again, this one came out in 1974, didn't have such a long reign as the previous meter, which went all the way through to 92, and then in 93 it had a facelift. But in this one only ran until 1983, so after 1983 you wouldn't have seen these for sale. That was the end of those. So this is the 203, let me just zoom back out again. Right, so this is the 203. Now, this one is a 203B. This one has 4mm banana plugs as opposed to 2mm. So we've upgraded the cables when we got to this one. This one again, this came out in 1974 when they were first released. We've got all your guarantee card. I don't think that's of any use now, is it? You always got your little packet of silica gel. And the meter itself and the schematics for it. Pretty much all of these did the same thing. None of these were like mega advanced or anything like that. They were really for your backstreet repairman and your hobbyist and people like that. You know, those are the sort of people who would have these meters. So we're going to run into this, we're going to put it on ohms, and we're going to see if, now you can see there how slow that meter, dodgy contacts, so you can see on there how the meter runs so much slower. See how the larger meters had a much slower. Now I'm not sure of the accuracy of these, but I did actually test one and I was quite surprised. I think it's the ones that I'm going to review next. So this one ran from 1974 and ran all the way through to 1985. So prior to that, this meter is actually older, but it wasn't. It got renumbered. It was originally 22260. Between 1972 to 74 when this was revised. So this was a revision model of a meter that had come previously that ran for 2 years, known as a 22260. It's the same meter. There were other meters around at the same time. I've had a fairly hard time locating them and finding them. So there we go, that is the 203. 22203B. So actually I didn't open it. I should make a habit of opening all of these. And funny enough, we've got 3 screws. Remember what I said? I said I wonder if that one's got 3 screws, and it does. So the 201 had 1 screw in the back, the 202 had 2 screws in the back, and the 203 has 3 screws in the back. Now these ran up to 221, 224, and I don't think I'd be putting 24 screws in those. So anyway, this one's got 2 PCBs. You've got your switch PCB here, and then you've got another PCB which looks like a calibration PCB because you've got your trim pots there. They haven't used metal film on this. They have used, these are metal film here, the old brown type metal films. And you can tell they're the metal film because usually the metal films have got an extra colour band. It's rare you see. Actually, these have got an extra colour band, but they are carbon resistors because of the colour. So the brown ones, maybe they're not metal film, maybe they're another type of film resistor. So again, we've got a capacitor, we've got electrolytic on there. Not sure how good that'll be now. I'm going to whip out the battery on that, I think. It also took a 9-volt battery. Now, I wonder why would it have a 9-volt battery in there as well? That's interesting. So, I'm sure the instructions will tell me. I don't like going overly tight with the screws on vintage gear because the plastic does get brittle over the ages. So, I can't actually see anything mentioning the 9-volt battery. But it takes one. And decibel measurements. Oh, so it measures decibels. So you've got your decibel meter here. Let's just zoom that. That's an interesting thing to have on a multi-tester. There's a decibel meter. We've got -10 to +22. So 0 is there, -10. So I don't think there's going to be much that's going to be needing 22 decibels, because all your decibel stuff is in the minus, that you sort of within your hearing range. 0 is unity gain, which is just your average level. So yeah, that's quite unusual. I would not know why you would use that. It doesn't actually show you a decibel connection on here. You've got your common. And when it says here, decibel measurements, plug the test leads into the correct jacks. But it doesn't actually tell you which are the correct jacks. So we have DC amps, we've got AC volts and DC volts. But it seems that we've got DC volts all the way to 1000, so we've got the line that runs to there. That's quite interesting, the way this is laid out. And so you would use, so if you're going to do a DC volt test, you would basically put it onto the centre for the plus and the upper for the minus. And then you can run up to 1000 volts there. When you're running AC, you're just going to get from 10 volts up. But yeah, that's an interesting way of laying that switch out there with the 3-way switch there. That's interesting. But yeah, it doesn't say why you would need the 9-volt battery. I would assume it's something to do with the decibel meter. Let's have a look and see on the schematic and see where that's connected to. So we have 9-volt battery going to, it's for the 10 times resistance. That 9-volt battery solely does the R times 10. Let me just see if just here. So you can see there you've got the 9-volt battery, there's your switch, and it just literally does R times 10. So all of these will run from the 9-volt battery, which is here. You've got B1, battery 1, 1.5 volts running this, all of these. So 1, 10, 1,000 times, and then 10,000 times. No auto ranging in them days. Yeah, so that's basically all it does. Is the 9-volt was literally just for your 10k range. That's it. So you wouldn't get anything on there if you only had the 1.5 volt batteries in. And that's the only reason that they've got those batteries. So there you go. Interesting. You know, would you run out to go and get yourself a little 9-volt battery just so you can use that range? Maybe. I suppose 10k range is quite useful, you know, considering the majority of resistors are over the 10k area. So just going to put this one back along with its silica gel, and of course the manual. So that is the 203B, which came out between 74 to 85. There was a previous version of that that came out 72 to 74. So this is a 204. Let's zoom out a little bit more. We've got this one, which is also a 204. So this is a 204C. So this is the latest revision. Now, so these run between 1974 to 1986. We're just going to test these out and see. I'm going to open up side by side and see. So I wonder if they've got 4 screws in these. We'll find out, won't we? Right, so let's go the voltage again. This one's got the more sort of industry standard 4mm banana jacks there. And let's go for, ooh, the 10 times works. It doesn't need a 9-volt battery. Although, yeah, so let's zero that. See, I can't see if that's zeroed. You'd actually see that better on camera. So this one is, this is a 204C. The one I've got next to it is a 204B. So that was the one before it. But you see how slow that needle moves. Oh, it's just come to its resting point there. And again. And it's just come to the resting point there. And back down again. Extremely slow. These old, the bigger the meters, the slower they were. And that's quite interesting. So let's have a look at the 204B, also on a 10. Oh, that one's right out of its range. So let's check that out. Again, it's about the same speed of needle. Very, very slow. Okay, so we're going to have a quick look at this. So what have we got here? We've got a divided by 2, a volt divided by 2. So that's interesting. So I'd imagine if you're on 2.5 volts now, is that only deal with AC volts, or is that for volts amps divided by 2? So I would imagine you've got your 125 range here. So you've got your 250, so that would match up to this. Then you've got 125, so if you put that on the divide by 2, it should. Well, let's see if that works with the resistance. So it should actually go to half when we run continuity across it. So let's go to resistance and see if no, that is ohms here. You need to have it on the switch down there for ohms. So it doesn't work with resistance. So now we know. Okay, so yeah, let's open these. Oh, 2 screws. Okay, so, well, 4 screws in total, so there you go. So the first thing I've noticed is there is no sticker on this one. Now this one actually got an indent for the sticker to sit in. So if I were to peel the sticker off, you'd actually see where it, you know, the smooth part of the thing. Maybe this had a sticker, maybe this had something stuck on, but because of the fake Tolex type finish. So I put a battery in that, 9-volt, and I put a 9-volt in there as well. So there we go. So I can see a difference straight away. I can certainly smell 1980s. Early 1980s, late 70s, early 80s. Oh, it's smelling lovely. So we have a resistor here in a non-conductive shield. So I would imagine, because the PCB is, which is different. This is a taller PCB, and this is the smaller PCB. Now this one's got 11A3, this one's got 1A1. Whether or not it's a different type of needle, there's a revision of something, I don't know. We've definitely got thicker power cables. We've got much thicker power cables going in, whereas these have just got very thin cables. We've got thicker cables running across the board. The boards are quite different by design. Oh, they smell amazing. Oh, I love that smell. Absolutely love the smell of old electronics. There's nothing, you cannot beat that. Yeah, so this is basically the same. Is that the same value? So we've got brown, grey, grey, green, brown, grey, grey, green. Yep, that's the same. So yeah, that's interesting. So they did have, oh, and I just noticed something else at the top. This one has a fuse. This one doesn't. So this is fused. So they made some major improvements on that. That was basically, it looks like a complete redesign inside. The front of these look exactly the same, but the 204 was definitely a vast improvement. I would imagine this resistor that's sitting in here has been added to this PCB because we've actually got a slightly larger PCB, so I would imagine this is sitting on the PCB on this revision. Yeah, definitely. Oh, we've got some thermal shielding now. I wonder why they would use that. So, does it have temperature? Now these, none of these have been donated. All of these I've bought myself from eBay. So, you know, it's taken me quite a while to get this video together. I can make some more content and stuff, but it does take time to get these together. If you really like the content, then, you know, you can support me by going to my website, which I'll link in down below. I sell music there. Even if you don't like it and you just want to support me, just buy something. You don't have to download it, but you know, you might like it. So this is the 204C box. So I'm just going to put this one away here, and along with its cables. And this one, so the 204 came out between 1974 and 1986. It had A, B and C revision, so I don't have an A revision, I have the B and the C. And as you can see inside, there's quite a lot of difference. Absolutely nothing on the outside, so we've got basically exactly the same. They have been reprinted because some of the fonts are slightly smaller on this one. They've made them slightly larger on here, so they're more visible. You've got your dB range just as before, so you've got 10, 50, 125, 250. It's basically the meters are the same. This section is the same. This one has the cat warning. It doesn't actually say what cat it is. It just says 1000 volts AC, 250 volts DC, even though the DC volts goes up to 1000. So I do not have a 22, 205, 206, 207, 208 or 209. They come out between 1974 to 1980. The last one, 209, ran 1980 to 81, so there was only 1 year of that. There was only 1 year of the 208, which ran from 78 to 79. The 207 that came before that, it ran from 76 to 79. The 206 from 75 to 77, 205, 74 to 75. So they didn't have much of a long life, and that's probably why you don't see them about. I don't think they're valuable, I think they're just more just sort of rare. They're just, you know, you don't see them about. Rarity or doesn't always mean valuable, because these meters, they can be quite cheap. Maybe after this video's on, people might get interested and they might gain value. I don't know. I don't think I'm that popular yet. I think I've got about 10 subscribers at the moment. So anyway, if you're watching, you're one of the 10, so you're one of the first guys in on this channel. So this was the next one. This was the 22210. Now, these were the meters. I absolutely loved these meters. These were one of my favourite. I always strive to get one of these. There was also one that looked very similar called a 220. In fact, I'm going to put them up next to each other just now. So they are quite similar, even though this is a 2210 and 22. This is a FET meter. Now, for some reason, and I have changed the FETs in this, it's not very accurate. This is actually more accurate. The one that isn't a FET meter is more accurate than the FET meter that they were all raving about. Whether or not it just needs new capacitors, whether the needles are a bit heavy, I don't know. So this is common. This is, there's your ohms. There's your ohms, right? So continuity. We've got a continuity beep. Ooh, it had a beep. Wow. So it's not latched. It's actually just crackly, which can be, it can be good. I mean, you know, the latched ones sometimes take, you know, a couple of nanoseconds to kick in, to, you know, some of them sort of half a second and it kicks in, you know. So it's, the latched ones are good because they once they're connected, that's it, you know it's connected. But with these that are non-latched, they're just literally crackly ones, it's instant, you know. So let's have a look. So that meter seems to be a bit faster, so let's just put it on 0 and let's see if it actually is, because it might have just been racing across because it was trying to get. So again, this looks like about the same sort of speed as the previous meter we looked at. So they're very slow, these. Yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna do 220 next. I just wanted to put them side by side. I'm not going to do it next because there's another one that I want to do before then. There's a couple that I want to do before then. So here, we have one of these big screws. Let me see if I've got a screwdriver nearby. I'm still building the workshop, so finding stuff is not so easy. So there we go. Ooh! So we've got a nice big battery. We've got a fuse. We've got a spare fuse. And let's get it open. Let's get into it and find out what's going on inside. What makes this one tick? This one's got 11A6 on the back. Ah, we've got tapped screws rather than the machine screws. So that means that it's going straight into the plastic. We don't like that. We don't like that in this workshop. We like the real deal. So this one, 210, 1983 to 1987, this one ran. Oh, that is a lovely smell of the 80s. 80s PCB. That is crusty. That has not been cleaned. This needs some isopropyl and a toothbrush. Yeah. So, there we go, we've got some more thermal shield in there. Interesting. Anyway, so there's a Kodak battery. Fortunately, they haven't leaked. That is quite fortunate. I must have not actually been into this meter because it probably just worked and I thought, oh right, that's fine. But you know, like I say, I was getting a lot of these on eBay. I would like to do another video of these. I've got some other meters as well that I've got, like Robin, Starco, if anybody's heard of that, and what else? Sanwa. I've got some old bakelite Sanwa meters that I'd like to do a video on those. And the thing is with the old bakelites, most of them work, but there is one or two that haven't really sort of stuck it out, should we say. Now, so that is I love that switch, by the way, the little tail on the chicken head switch there. Let's get a profile view of that. So we've got a nice long chunky switch. Yeah, so there you go. I don't have a manual for this because I didn't come in its box. We're now going to do this. This is an interesting one. You see loads of these about, but it is interesting because it was a folding meter. So this one here came with the instruction manual. We've got a schematic. We've got a schematic. We like schematics here, and we have one just there. If anybody needs it, take a screenshot now. Okay. Now this is as cool as anything. Now, I wanted one of these so much when I was young. It's basically, it looks very much like the original 201. So, let's get it plugged in. Let's see how responsive that is when it comes to measuring ohms. That's AC volts. See, they put the switches in different places. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the same as the... Not quite there. That seems very responsive, actually. That meter is very quick. So that is very much like the original 201. I would imagine they use the same circuit and basically split it. So let's have a look and see if we can get into this thing. It's got a battery cover here. It's got a battery. Oh, don't you love these pull tags that you used to get in batteries things? You don't seem to get these now. Just that little bit of extra effort, just to help you yank the battery. You know, that's all you need. So we've got a fuse. So it was fused also with a pull cord. A spare fuse. Now, you know, little touches like that go a long way, and it was quite common. You know, you wouldn't have to pay extra for these features. You know, you wouldn't say, oh yeah, this is a luxury model, you know, this one's got pull tabs and you've got an extra fuse, and you know. No, these just came as they were. So I'm going to quickly just take the only screw that I can see on here out and see if we get anywhere with that. So again, that is a self-tapping screw. Now it doesn't seem that I'm getting anywhere with that, and I'm not going to waste any more time on it because I want to get through these meters. So that was the Micronta 22211. Now there was a, so what's that one? That's, oh, this goes on first, then the cables, then the manual. Okay, I've left these out because some of the meters I've got don't have. So what have we got next? We have the 22212. Now this is the meter that I had when I was a kid. I actually got it for my birthday and I was probably about 10 or 11 years old, and it is the tiniest meter going. I absolutely loved this thing. This was, my hands were a lot smaller then obviously, but you know, even then it's so cool. I used to carry it about in my pocket. It was that cool, you know. But you know, I suppose that's a real nerd thing to do, isn't it? You know, as a child, you know, most kids of my age were sort of carrying pen knives and stuff like that around. No, me, a multimeter, because you never know when you're going to get tapped by a resistor or something. So let's see if I... So we've only got one resistance range, and that's for 1K. Now look at that, look at the speed of that needle. That is absolutely phenomenal. Now this, I remember going into one of the repair shops, and I had the meter because I just got it for my birthday, and I carried it around and I wanted to show it off because it was so cool. And I was friends with local repair shops, and also one of the wholesalers that was in my town, and I used to go in there and I used to buy a lot of components and stuff. The guy sadly passed away a few years ago, but I went in there with this, and I think it was his son. He had one of these, and he was like, "Oh, what's that thing?" You know. And I'm just going to put these up next to each other just to sort of show you what the size difference was. Look at that. That is absolutely incredible. So I went in there, happy as Larry, with this little thing here. And I went in, and he had this up on his desk, and he was telling me how amazing this was, you know. And I was a little bit jealous, you know, but I was still delighted with my little meter because I could test stuff, you know. I'd started building stuff on breadboards and all of that sort by that stage, you know, when I got this. So I went in, and he was showing this off, and he's like, because I said, "Oh look, I've got one of these," and he's like, grunt, you know, "What's that?" you know, sort of thing. And then said, "Oh no, you need a proper meter." And I said, "Oh right." I said, he said, "Oh, it's way better, you know, all these, you know, accuracy, blah 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 blah." Anyway, it turns out these are not that accurate. And yeah, and he showed me the ohms thing, and it's slowly, as you've seen. I mean, I've taken the batteries out of this now. But, or did I take the batteries out? Did I take the batteries out? I don't think I did. Not that one, because I haven't opened this one up yet. So anyways, showing off, "Oh look at this," and put a resistor on there, and it's slowly crept across. And I said, "Oh, that's really slow." You know, not really thinking. And then showed him this, and I'm, boom. And he's like, "Oh yeah, but that's just, you know, that's just cheap stuff," you know. And he was defending his big expensive meter, and you know, I actually left there feeling quite smug. Not that was my intention, of course, because I wasn't that sort of kid, you know. I wasn't out to sort of be smug, but you know, sometimes you do feel smug, and I did at that point. So yeah. So anyway, that is the meter that I had when I was a kid. Interestingly, I was on eBay, and I also came across this. Now, let's see if anyone can spot the difference here. Just put that back there. Got it yet? Nah, probably wouldn't. But the catalogue number, 77212. So this is 227212, and this is 22212. Now, that was a really strange thing there, because they did have a facelift in, because these ran from 1985 to 1993. I must have got this the year they come out. But they had a facelift 1994 to 1996. They updated them, and then they did a catalogue change to 22218 from 1997 onwards. They just changed the catalogue number, probably just to sort of adjust their stocks, because a lot of the older ones were defunct and obsolete and stuff, so they probably wanted to use those catalogue numbers for other stock. But interestingly, what was that 7 all about? So we've got 22212 and 2227212. So they do the same thing. They've got the same 2-inch screen, mirrored scale, rotary range selector. They take one battery and they measure the same stuff. So I cannot see a difference. This finish is different. This one was, that's different. So this is more like a plasticky sort of, you know, the plastic stickers, overlay stickers, whereas this is like a metal. You can feel that it's like cold to the touch. So Let me just go in there a bit, let's move them into range. Yeah, so this one has got the metal, and this one was plastic, so there's probably a bit more hardware in being plastic, but it's a strange thing. Now, I'm not sure this has a battery. It feels just slightly lighter than the other one. We can have a quick look. No, there's no battery in there, so we've got some batteries kicking about, so let's put the battery in there. In fact, I'm going to quickly, while I've got it open, I'm going to compare the two, because 227212, what was that 7 all about? What was it all about? They look identical. We've got a germanium diode, got a resistor, we've got that resistor, that one. We've got these here, just see. Yeah, they appear to all be the same value as well. The wiring looks like it's the same, it's just probably a little bit more messy. Use different colour cables. So I have absolutely no idea why they added a 7 into the catalogue number, because it totally throws it off the usual thing. I'll see if there's any clues on the back. Okay, so this one, custom manufactured in Korea for Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corp. This one was custom manufactured in China for Intertan UK Limited, trademarks of Tandy Corporation. So it was, so something going on with that. I have no idea, absolutely no idea. It's the same meter. This one's got a warning on the back, actually embossed into the plastic. So this was made in Korea, this was made in China. I would imagine the Korean one was the first one and then this one came later. So I'm pretty sure, did I put a battery in that? Yeah. Oh, the Chinese one's not faring up so well with the pot. The pot's crackling. Let's give it a little. Right, so look at that. Lightning fast. Lightning fast. Look at that. Look at the speed of that. That's absolutely phenomenal. You know, when you compare it with the bigger meters, yeah, that's something else. So this is the 7212. This one had a manual. Let's see if it has a date. Printed in Hong Kong. Manuals don't tend to. We've got a schematic. Very, very basic. Not much going on there at all. So I like that. But manuals, they took so care and effort. Like, you know, they didn't need to do that. You know, you'd expect one of these fold-out pages to have like a large sort of layout of it or something. You know, fold it out so you can see the schematic. Fold it out so you can see, you know, the silk screen or, you know, whatever's printed on the front, you know. But yeah, interesting. So 1990, bearing in mind these ran from 85 to 93, it's interesting that they had that. Anyway, so there you go. So that's an interesting thing. 22212, 227212, same meter, plastic front. One's made in Korea, one's made in China. And that's that. This is a range doubler, so this is another one of those that's got the divide by. See how slow that goes. When you've been running those other meters, and then you see that, it's like. And we've got a continuity on this. Again, it's not latched, but I don't think latched continuity meters were a thing back then, you know, or they certainly weren't popular. Oh, we're back to the 3 screws. So this is a 214. Now, when did the 214 come out? There was a 213. Now I don't have one of those either. A lot of these meters I would love to get my hands on. If anybody's got one, send me a message, drop me a line. Right, I'm just going to come out a little bit there so you can see what I've got. So this is the 214. Again, it's one of these that's got the 2 batteries, and I would imagine one of them is for your 10 times range. Well, that's continuity. So there's your 10 times range. 1 times range, yeah. So as you can see, it's going extremely slow. Yeah, so take those out. Not much to write home about when it comes to the circuitry. They're nice switches, they're very nice wafer switches. Usual soldered to the board pots, which these are getting quite hard to come by, these ones that solder actually onto the pots and fold back. There's quite a few electronic musical instruments that use those. Yeah, so that is the 214. Those run from 1988 to 1994. They've got machine screws, so nice touch there. So here we go. This is the final meter. The final Micronta meter. I'm going to give you a quick, very brief, extremely brief view of the other meters, and you can let me know if you want me to do a review on them or not. Well, crackly continuity works, so yeah, so I mean that was okay, but let's have a look inside. Again, these are not machine screws, these are self-tappers, so no points there. They do get points with a spare fuse though, so we'll let them off. So this is the difference. This here. This one, I believe it's this circuit because I'm sure I changed the FETs in this. Yes, the FET runs across here. It's one of them single inline packages. So I'll just come in there and hopefully you can see that. Focus, focus, there we go. Yeah, so this is the FET that sits along there. It's a sealed package, single inline package. So I have replaced that, thinking that that was the problem with the calibration or whatever, but it turns out that it's just a poor design. Maybe a poor design, maybe a poorly capacitor. Could be a number of things. But anyway, that's that meter. One of the phenomenons with some of the Micronta meters is the needle and gravity. It doesn't happen with all the meters, but this is the worst, so I thought I'd show you this. Stand it up and watch that needle go up, up, up. Yeah, so yeah, interesting. So not all of them do it. Some of them go the other way, and some of them just go a little bit, but they all seem to do it, except for a few of them. A few of them are really good. That's the 220 there. That's a really good needle because that sits the same whether it's flat or 90 degrees or 0 degrees. So here you go. Just something to look out for when you're taking measurements. There you go. These are the things that you laughed at because multimeters were out. Why would you want a battery tester? Well, apparently the battery tester was good because it did actually put a load on. Right, so what have we got? We've got lithium button cell got a 1.5. Let's put a 1.5 on there. So let's see if this is good. It's trying to be. I think it actually needs some kind of cleaning solvent. I wonder if that's a dodgy switch. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's hopping about like a... Yeah, look at that. It's the switch. We've got a good battery. Let's try the Radio Shack. Let's see if that one holds up. No. Another Panasonic. I'm not going to test them all. I'm just going to test a couple. That's good. Panasonic's good. Let's try this Sony one. New Ultra. Oh, that one seems good. See how rapid that needle is? That is absolutely rocketing. That is the fastest needle I've seen. So, we've got that. We've got the 9-volt one here now. That works. Now, does it work if I put it into a different position? No, it needs to be on. Right, hence the little line there. Oh, another thing this does. Let's just get this one example. It's got a negative thing there, so if you're on 1.5, you can just literally put it onto that pad there, and it does the same thing as a negative lead. So, yeah. Just in case you need it to do that, but yeah, we have a schematic. So that is the battery tester. I'm going to take it out and let you see it. It's got an angle bit on it. Oh, it's got a coin cell. And it's got a little push down thing. So you put like a CR20. I can see one there. That one's done. Right, let's have a look. So we've got the 3-volt lithium setting. Right, so let's have a look at this. I'll put it in backwards. Not bad. Look at that. Excellent. So yeah, this actually tests them under load. So yeah, now when I was a kid, I remember sneering at these things. Battery tester. You know, who wants a battery tester? But yeah, I mean, they're quite uninspiring to look at. But they served a function, and they did it well. So, you know, these are a handy little thing to have. And there is, I do have a couple more things to show you. What am I talking about? We've got this one. We've got the AC voltmeter. Let's have a look at this baby. Out you come. There's no manual. No manual. Lots of polystyrene. No manual. No manual, no cables. But we don't need a cable because we've got a clamp meter. Now, as I recall, this meter was actually out of calibration, and I don't believe it went. Yeah, it's not going to go in. So you've got all your different amps settings there. You've got a voltage. You've got actual probes there for AC volts. It only does AC because this is for the mains, and that's why you've got the clamp for your amps. Minimum of 6 amps, so these were no good for any sort of precision stuff. This is really for mains. You know, you'd clamp it round your one of the cables on your consumer box to see if you've got amps running through it and see if it's pulling anything ridiculous, you know. So yeah, these were more sort of your sort of electricians sort of thing. But yeah, it's another part of the history, I guess. This is a test lead kit. So these, you'd often see these, and they had all your test leads. They had these which would screw on, or they'd plug in. Obviously you're not going to put it back to the... So you plug them onto the end there. But if you didn't want them, and you wanted some of these little fellas, you could plug one of them on. Bolt it onto something, you know? Bolt it onto a terminal. You had alligator clips, so, you know. These were brilliant, but they only served certain meters. As you've seen, some of these meters only cater for... There's another one, just a straight probe. Some of these meters only have the facility to take 2mm connectors. That is probably what that is for then, because that looks to me like a 2mm. So you'd put this at one end, put that at one end, you'd plug that into your meter, and then you've got your probes at the other end. So yeah, that makes sense. There you go. So that's it for the Micronta stuff. Right, I'm just going to pull a load of stuff up. Right, so Robin. You've heard of Robin meters. I'm not sure if they had something to do with fluke or something at one point, but so there's obviously no battery in there. No, there's no battery because the battery pack's gone. I can see there's no battery. So yeah, this was Robin's version, which is a lot slimmer of the clamp meter. So there you go, there's a couple of Robin meters. These were the original cables, so again these are inverted female connectors rather than the male, female 2mm banana. This is an Eagle International. Now, how often do you see meters like that? Not often. I've never seen them where you've got your probes there. I'm just going to check and see if it's got a battery in there, because yes, there's a battery. Right. It's a common. Okay, let's look at that and see if we get anything. We get absolutely nothing. Oh. That's a bit unusual. What is going on there? Well, that's a bit sensitive. It's just a bit of unusual bit of history there. During my travels of eBay, looking for the Microntas, I stumbled upon a few other meters such as this one, the Robin ones. I had the Robin one for ages. This I've never heard of. Now this was really sad, this meter. The story behind this, it belonged to a guy, and his father had passed away, and he's cleared out his stuff. He didn't have any idea what it was, and in transit the needle became broke, because when I mentioned to him, I said, oh, you know, the needle's not working. He said, oh, he did check it out and he said it was working fine. He was really sorry and all that, and he said I could send it back to him, and I said look, don't worry about it. I didn't want a refund or anything like that. Even though the needle isn't working, I find this fascinating piece of bakelite. It's absolutely lovely, and I love the shape of that needle. You don't see these, especially boxed. Now, there might be someone out there that can rebalance a needle. I believe it's something that isn't for the faint-hearted. Maybe I could use a guarantee. guarantee that. Shall I use that? Shall I send it back? I can't. The dealer didn't put their bloody address on, did they? Oh well, that's that idea out the window. So it's a Model 62 multi-tester. How to use the instrument, blah blah blah. Capacitance measurements. You know, so it had some quite interesting features with that. So that was the Starco, that's now Sparco. In the UK, Sparco means you've been sparked out by a punch. Yeah, so that's those. Another thing is these two here. These are Sanwa meters. Now these do work. These do actually work. So we're going to check them out. I absolutely love these things. I love the design. I love these bakelite finish. I've reconditioned all of this. I've polished it all up. Bakelite is really nice when it polishes up. Anyway, so let's just have a quick look at this. Put it on ohms and see if we've got a battery in there. Yes, we do. Just see, that is a meter. I absolutely adore this meter. The amount of stuff that is on this. So just look at that meter. That is phenomenal. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. I think we're in. I think that is that focused. It looks focused. It's hard to see, but anyway, look at that. That is a phenomenal meter for its size. Look at all of the different features. You've got capacitance, microfarad, and you've got, you know, all of these ranges on here. Absolutely beautiful meter that is. Absolutely love that. That is got to be, when it comes to the actual meter itself, this tester has got to be one of my favourites. It's a Sanwa. Now I'm not sure when this one came out compared to the other one, so I'm just going to put them both in view there. And I'm going to do some little comparisons. So they both had the same switch pointers. They were both the same. The meters are very different. The logo is very different. I've no idea what era these from. This, for some reason, just strikes me as being older, which is probably why it's got the real fancy meter, because, you know, back in those days they just went the extra mile, you know. But these Japanese meters, I've actually got a very slimline Sanwa digital, and I think it's in my car. I usually just leave that in the car in the glove box in case I get any problems. It's just a digital meter. It's the thinnest meter I've got. It's like about that. It's like a ridiculously thin meter. But yeah, these meters, I absolutely adored these things. When these come through the post, I'm like, these are amazing. I think, you know, I would happily collect Sanwa meters for my next video. I don't think we've got a battery. Ah, no, we don't have a battery in this. Now, there was a problem because the battery corroded in this. The meter works, everything works, but I'm going to show you this. See, who used flathead? Tiny flathead screws, little tiny flathead screws. You don't see them now. Everything's Phillips or hex. Yeah, so in here we had a battery leak issue. This is where the terminal terminates. So there was that, and that hopped over and connected onto this one. So unfortunately, this is an absolutely lovely bit of kit, and I love the weight of it. The weight of it's got a metal back. I've got some nice writing there that I cannot read. Anybody read that? No? Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so that's really the last of the multimeter thing. I would like to do another one in the future. If I can get some more of these Sanwa meters, I'd be really interested to find out a bit more about these and the dates when they come out and stuff like that. I've got a big thing for analog meters. So that's it really. That's really, I mean, this, I've moved over to sort of Sanwa and other brands here, but that was my Micronta review, and I said it was coming in a couple of videos. I've only had the channel running sort of, this is a sister channel to my main channel. The main channel was my Lectroid channel, which has got mostly music on, which, you know, that's, you know, but these are my hobbies. This is my other channel, and you know, I'd like to sort of share a few things, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thanks ever so much for sticking out. If you've stuck out to the end, that's nearly an hour. Well done. Yeah, so thanks ever so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.